Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the Daily Office Lectionary. And today is Monday, December 6th. And we are going to deviate again today. We deviated yesterday for the collect, but I want to deviate today to talk about the feast day that occurs today, because not only is it a wonderful and well-known feast day and kept in other countries in a way that we don't always keep it here, but also something very famous and important happened on this day as well that affects us. First of all, today is the feast of St. Nicholas. Now, we all have an image of St. Nicholas, don't we? The story of St. Nick has morphed into what in America we call Santa Claus, and we think of the jolly old elf in his red suit and you know, the night before Christmas story, all that kind of stuff. And of course, that has morphed from the reality of who St. Nicholas really was. He was a bishop in Smyrna, and in fact was one of the fathers at what was known as the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea fought against heresy that tried to diminish the divinity of who Jesus Christ was. And one of the decisions made at that council and then is what we call homoousios, that Jesus is of the same substance as the Father. And from that, along with the Council of Constantinople following it, we get what we know as the Nicene Creed, which is technically the Niceo-Constantinopolitan Creed, where we affirm that Jesus Christ and the Son of God and the Father are of the same substance. So it is important for us to understand that. And one of the legacies, of course, of St. Nicholas is and how he morphed into Santa Claus has to do with his paying the dowry, the story of him paying the dowry for some girls who wanted to get married and he could not, and helping the poor, and his generosity in helping the poor, particularly children. And he actually is the patron saint of sailors, of all things. However, also important is that the stories that in fact at the Council of Nicaea, when the heretics tried to push a false doctrine about Jesus Christ, he actually is known to have punched the leader of that heretical movement. So, you know, I don't recommend that you wish people a happy St. Nicholas Day and punch them if they keep false doctrine, but we certainly should love them and correct them as necessary. But the other important thing that happened actually happened right here, actually across the street from St. John's Church, where the freeway is now on Woodward, in a house that was located there. That house was owned by Henry Porter Baldwin. Henry Porter Baldwin at the time was the senior warden of St. Paul's Episcopal Church, the original parish here in Detroit. And he decided that he had the premonition that, in fact, the city of Detroit was going to expand to the north. This was all farmlands and orchards out here. This was considered out of town. And so it was that Henry Porter Baldwin, with his country house, gathered together a group of neighbors and announced to them that he had purchased the apple orchard across the street, where we're sitting right now with this video. He purchased the apple orchard, that he had designed a chapel and a church, that he was willing to donate all of those three things to build a rectory for the clergymen, and if we could raise, he would give the first $1,000 if the other $6,000 could be raised by those who were meeting in the room. Well, sure enough, it was on St. Nicholas's Day that this important day happened. A week later, on the Feast of St. Lucy, we'll mention her next week, the Feast of St. Lucy, they met again and had pledges for all of the money for the building of the chapel, what we call our chapel. And so it was that on St. John's Day, December 27th, that St. John's was incorporated because all the money was in the bank and they were ready to begin construction as soon as the ground thawed in April. So, brothers and sisters, we were incorporated on St. John's Day, and we are St. John's Church. But boy, maybe we should have been St. Nicholas, or maybe we should have a little side shrine in honor of St. Nicholas in Thanksgiving for that first meeting that happened. When did that happen? 1858, right? So that's 163 years ago today. And we thank God for Henry Porter Baldwin, for his wife, Harriet, and for all of those neighbors, the men and women who came together on that night to glorify God and to pledge of their fortunes to put together a place of worship to the greater glory of God, away out in the country, which of course now is smack dab in the middle of the cultural district, the entertainment district here in St. John's, here in Detroit. And boy, they could have never imagined that our front steps would be halfway between the Detroit Tigers home plate and the Detroit Red Wings center ice, but here we are. So today is Monday. We do have 12:15 Mass where we'll commemorate St. Nicholas. And then we have 5:30 evening prayer here at St. John's. And I do hope that you can join us. If you can't do it live, then you can join us on Facebook at St. John's Detroit or on YouTube at St. John's Priest. May you have a day full of blessings.